Anytime, Josh.
So Dave, can you tell me about instances where drivers gained from going through the simulator?
Well, we know last year we had the winter driving training for all our level 1s and 2s and a few other drivers last year. We had 3 trucks that ended up going in the ditch, and after visiting with each one of them trucks and doing the loss investigation, each one of them remembers, the technique they needed to do when they lost control on the ice, so they didn't end up with a jackknife, or at very worst ended up in the ditch. And these 3 drivers stated just that. I remembered the simulator training, and I ended up driving in the ditch versus jackknifing on the roadway.
So what are drivers' normal reaction to, you get them on the radio and say, we need you to come into the office, it's time for the simulator. What's the normal reaction?
It's kind of neutral. You get some guys that are excited, you get some guys that, aren't too thrilled about it, but everybody that's gone through it, everybody's been excited about the final of it, getting through at the end, so they've enjoyed the training.
What are the biggest things you think they're picking up?
Biggest thing I think they're picking up is the skills of what they need to do if they do lose control on the ice or are at risk of a jackknife. The technique to avoid the jackknife. So, and actually putting it into practice on the simulator, it's real good experience for them. As close to real world experience as we can get somebody.
So you're a truck driver for 20 years. Before the simulator, how would you get this experience?
Well, before the simulator, you get this experience by having a jackknife. And, in my 20 years of driving, I had a lot of guys tell me how you get out of the jackknife. And just thinking about it now, these guys tell me how to get out of a jackknife, had a jackknife, and it didn't work for them, but they're telling me how to do it. So, this is where the simulator really comes in handy. We tell you how to do it, and we can prove it works that way.
Do you think that drivers are interested in skill enhancement?
Oh, most definitely. We had a few of our senior drivers or long-term employees go through the simulator last year, and some of the comments were, man, I never knew that about how to get out of a jackknife. I always thought you steer into the jackknife, and it's not steering into the jackknife. It's slip it in neutral and drive straight forward, drive where you want to go. So that's the key, and so it's good for all our employees, irregardless of their experience level.
How does it fit in with some of the other skill enhancement programs you have, for instance, like the e-learning and the book-based curriculum?
It ties in quite a bit with that. It's going to give them the winter driving experience. Extreme driving conditions is in the training binder. There's videos to go with it. The e-learning, knowing the technique to avoid this also ties in not being distracted, so when you're coming in them kind of situations. I think it ties in a lot. There's a new driver getting this real world experience, plus the training from our trainers and managers during check rides, and the training in the book and videos it improves the skills of every driver. It's offered to every driver, that has little or no experience in winter driving or in truck driving, period.
What would you say to prospective drivers that are apprehensive about coming up to work in snow in winter conditions?
There's a lot of skilled drivers across the country, but, and there's some of them that have never had any winter driving. If they're interested in coming up here, we'll give them the training they need to be successful and not be involved in a loss. We've got very good trainers. We use the simulator, and we'll give you all the training you need to be successful in driving in winter driving conditions.
What is the ride with? What is that? What do you call it? Check ride?
Check ride. It's where, you get it's more of a manager or a trainer rides along with you and just helps you to looks at areas you may need improvement, and just to get to know our employees as well. But the part of the other one is they'd be riding with a trainer, since they don't have any winter driving experience. When we get to that inclement weather, at that point we're going to team them up with an experienced driver, and they get to ride with him for a day or two and learn the techniques necessary to drive in the
So you're
weather.
not alone. You got
Never alone.
somebody to help you.
Yeah, not only be in the truck with you, but if you got any questions, go back and ask them a question, or ask your managers or whoever.
What skill are most drivers lacking? Or need most improvement on?
I would say if there's one area that needs to be highlighted for drivers, it's going to be the winter driving. There's a lot of risk in driving a truck, but I think there's probably a little more increased risk during the inclement weather if they don't have the skills or knowledge to drive in them conditions.
Oh, okay. I felt it, sir.
Yeah, I see.
Perfect.
And the reason I did
Okay.
that was
Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good.
Thanks. I'm going to make you sign this anyways. Even though I think you probably